Mindfulness is beneficial in all aspects of our lives. It creates that brief pause between the events and the stuff happening in the world and our reactions. And this is important in relationships and raising kids and working with your spouse, in your health and athletic events. It's important in your finances. And in personal finance specifically, it provides a doorway to reason when both the media and our own brains are telling us to do something that will hurt us in the long run.
Lawsome, the podcast for law firms. Powered by ConsultWebs.
Welcome back to Lawsome, the only podcast for law firms that is available via astral projection. We're here to inform, educate, and entertain the legal community on the latest in legal marketing and law firm development. I am your host, Jake Sanders, and he is also your host. He's Paul Julius. And Paul, has this all just been a dream created by our collective experiences to distract us from our true path?
The answer to that lies within yourself, Jake Sanders.
You're saying that the empty bowl is the fullest vessel.
There is no bowl.
I see a spoon. I saw a spoon earlier. We have to be mindful. Today's all about mindful, but it's also about money, so we got to make that money. Let's stay on track and tell people what's in store on this guided meditation.
As you said on the show today, talking about mindfulness, about being better at business and finances by being in the moment. First, with an article from my favorite site on the internet, Forbes.com. And then we talk with Jonathan Dio of Mindful Money about how to turn down the chatter in our minds, focus on the good stuff. And of course, we get the good stuff from our guest with 5 questions we ask everyone.
Pull up a plate. It's the Hot Takes Buffet.
The article today from the best place ever, Forbes.com, forged at Forbes, by Stephanie Burns, who is Mr. Burns's granddaughter from The Simpsons. Excellent. But she is not like Grandpa. This article she wrote, it's entitled, "Can Mindfulness Help You Run Your Business?" I'm assuming the answer is yes, because if it is no, then we've wasted our lives here with this article. Let's start with an intro. She says, mindfulness has been thought to help in a number of ways, but the most significant include reducing anxiety, heightening productivity, and contributing to a greater sense of presence. Because these benefits are preferred for employees, they're also great for entrepreneurs and can likely help you run a better business. Naturally, being a little bit more thoughtful could help.
Yeah.
But I think in, Quick Draw McGraw, it's high noon, we all feel like we got to be the first on the field. Maybe this doesn't strike someone as a very savvy attack vector, mindfulness, Like, how are you going to really dominate the business world with mindfulness? You know what I mean? Maybe it just falls flat.
I don't know that it's going to be dominate. But I was very drawn to this, especially after talking with Jonathan later. The 3 different points in here are pretty good. Should I go through them?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So there's really 3 different ways, and they call it Neuro Coaching, which is
I see Phil Jackson in my head.
Yeah. It's the way of no way.
Yeah, you miss 100% of the tacos you don't eat.
So number 1, it can improve self-confidence, helping you with decision-making. Number 2, it can help you be more creative. Number 3, it can heighten productivity. And she goes into it. It really is a good article. I know I dog on Forbes, but it's a good article. But I really do like the one about self-confidence and helping you with decision-making. And I think that is a lot of what entrepreneurs and business owners are combating is the imposter syndrome, being unsure, not really having a path. I mean, I know we're joking about the way of no way, but a lot of times, when you're the one that everybody's looking to for a decision, there is no map. And so being able to calm yourself so that you can understand sort of what the heart of the matter is, and give some perspective, particularly about the importance of the decision. I
Mm-hmm.
think, and quiet down some of that chatter can really be tremendously useful. And we talk particularly with regards to finances and stuff later.
Right.
Um, there's always this what's happening next, what's happening now, I need to
Right.
know, I need to update my Twitter feed, I need to what's the latest word on my stocks, and blah blah blah.
Oh yeah.
That is so reactive, and I think mindfulness and being able to still yourself helps you not be controlled by these external narratives, and instead lets you kind of put that information into perspective and put it to work for you in a useful way.
Like I think you're right, man. It's a mixture of impulse, but also strategy and planning. That's the other half that's missing here. That Jonathan digs in, because great, you're mindful, but if you don't have a plan underlying it, strategy, some kind of thing you can rely on, then maybe you're just going to be tossed about the seas of now, and not planning ahead in some way. The way of no way is still a strategy. You're strategically not having a way. So, in your mindfulness, you're sort of emptying your thoughts to fill them up with good things. You're emptying your nonsense to get good creativity. You're loosening your grip on things to make your time more productive. I can see how it would help, but there has to be a plan and a strategy underneath it. And then it becomes this multiplying effect that I think you see here, that Stephanie talks about, that Jonathan talks about. It's when you have that mindfulness and transient emotion around the now, mixed with a good, strong strategy that you revisit every once in a while, in this mindful way. Is this working? Just check in with yourself. I think that's the key. And of course for business, of course for relationships, of course for everything. And I think you were hitting on that idea of it doesn't feel fresh or new. And I was hitting on that at the beginning, dominating, thinking of, sort of a typical manly thing, like, well, I just have to meditate or what, and it's like, if you just ease up on what you want to see from life, sometimes life just shows you what it has. And maybe that, in any capacity you could, increase or enhance, then that's what you should be doing. You'll fill up an audience full of a TED Talk for this stuff, but could you take it back and make it feel like you were doing something,
Well, that's the hardest part, I think, is, and there's something to it. Just, mindfulness, it doesn't, you can't stop your mind. Like, all these little thoughts, this internal dialogue, you're just wired that way, to be constantly processing these. It's been this way for tens of thousands of years
to keep you safe.
Is this safety, danger? How does these things relate?
Exactly,
We're always trying to correlate things and categorize things, and make different pieces of things into a cohesive narrative. Like, that's what's kept us alive for a long, long time. And I'm not saying that mindfulness is going to tell you to quiet that, but what mindfulness does is it just lets you be aware of that. And I think the best kind of description of it I heard was a Buddhist, where he said, eventually, once you really become attuned to it, you're like a mountain, and your thoughts are like the clouds passing by. It doesn't affect the mountain. It sees them, but it has no effect. The mountain stays. And I think that's kind of what I'm getting at here. And I think what we get at later with Jonathan is, it's okay. These things, you're going to have these impulses and feelings and, thoughts and whatever. But Jake, like you said, if you have a good plan, and you have a good strategy, and you've learned to just identify what's chatter, even in your own head or in the business world,
or on your phone, or in your life,
on the phone.
Right.
Why not? I mean, once you can kind of say that and just kind of let it go past the mountain of your strategy, it's going to be a much, much better for you than, setting yourself on fire and chasing your tail every time, the Google algorithm changes or whatever.
Right, right. Well, and you feel like you're doing something when you set yourself on fire. You're like, hey, we're getting somewhere.
You are.
It's getting hot in here.
It's a different approach.
Very different. No, it's great points. Something for us to be mindful with. Speaking with an amazing financial advisor.
Yeah.
But just a really, really great guy who has an interesting grip on how to stay sane in this 24-hour news cycle, in this world of constant improvement. What are some small things you can do to the bank account and to your brain? That's all coming up with Jonathan Dio, Paul Julius, Jake Sanders. It's ConsultWebs, it's Lawsome, and it's coming up next.
Let's go.
Lawson continues. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Since 1999, ConsultWebs has been helping law firms connect with clients on the web, connect digital marketing success with firm success, and connect their business goals to proven strategies that help them get the most out of their legal marketing. Go to consultwebs.com to learn more.
And now, for a Lawsome interview.
Jonathan Dio is a best-selling author, behavioral wealth advisor, speaker, founder, and CEO of Mindful Money. He's been helping his financial planning clients build futures and create legacies for almost 20 years. He started on the street, worked his way up to the top, and now he breaks through the cloud bank to join us on Lawsome. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
That's one of the most interesting introductions I've ever heard. Well done. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad you're here too. So here we are, top of the world. Explain Mindful Money, your elevator pitch. What is it? Who do you help? The whole thing.
But do you want a short version or do you want kind of a longer version?
Pretend it's a mid-range elevator ride. We have some time. 20 floors.
Okay, yeah. Good. So first, what we do at Mindful Money, we basically help three categories of people. For about 20, maybe 25 years, I've worked with successful families in sort of an area known as wealth management. And this is sort of the deep face-to-face financial planning, portfolio design, management, and legacy work that we work with attorneys on the legacy side of things. For about a decade now, the second thing, we've been working with companies to provide low-cost retirement plan services combined with really robust, complete financial literacy programs for their employees. And then for the last few years, I've been writing and speaking about the benefits of mindfulness, specifically applied to personal finance. And we're creating this financial literacy course for clients and for our community and for public at large at the same time. And that's kind of what we do. The mindfulness portion is interesting. So do either of you meditate, or do you know have you run into mindfulness before?
Yes. We're aware.
Big time.
Okay, good. So mindfulness, as you know, mindfulness is defined as a non-judgmental awareness of the present moment. And you can add some Buddhist stuff on there, as we receive through our senses and through our thoughts. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So mindfulness is beneficial in all aspects of our lives. It creates that brief pause between the events and the stuff happening in the world and our reactions. And this is important in relationships and raising kids and working with your spouse, in your health and athletic events. It's important in your finances. And in personal finance specifically, it provides a doorway to reason when both the media and our own brains are telling us to do something that will hurt us in the long run.
So mindfulness is here, but you also talk about financial literacy. So let's unbreak those two parts. Let's break those two things apart right now. Speak to financial literacy. You say you're a fanatic.
Yeah.
What does it mean? Is it just looking at a graph and being like, I like it, or looking at a hockey stick chart and being like, let's buy? I mean, I think a lot of people are just sort of settling there. Maybe they watch Wall Street once or twice. What does it mean, financial literacy, to you?
Great. I mean, it's a great question, and it means none of those things. So
Damn it.
much more fundamental than that. And this is
thankfully
right. There've been lots and lots of surveys on this topic, and we fail at this. And not just by we, I mean globally, not just the United States. So financial literacy, in its simplest definition, is the ability to understand and apply financial skills. And that sometimes will include, financial management, budgeting, investing. But what it means is it means people who are financially literate have the capacity to put today's financial situations into the context of a broader life and see how those decisions are going to affect their futures. And that's, we walk around every day with media telling us that our happiness is dependent upon our purchasing, our consumption, and that our investing is dependent upon our ability to pick the right things to invest in and time the market. None of those things, the research doesn't support any of those things. So this idea of being financially literate helps us put those things that we get from the media and from our own brains into context.
Because you think it's sort of like a double Dutch. I was just sort of envisioning this thing. You never know when you get in. You got to look at the two ropes, and then you got to jump in, and then it's sort of like a blind faith kind of thing. I mean, here's the question. There's so many books on this. There's so many blogs. There's so many Suze Ormans out here. What does luck have to do with it? Explain to luck. Like, a lot of people are just thinking it is that timed entrance. You got to get lucky. Speak on luck.
So, I mean, luck definitely has something to do with it. But all those books you mentioned on managing wealth, most of them are focused on reading the tea leaves, improving your market outlook. And this is sort of exactly what I'm talking about. These are worthless. It's all about who has a better prediction of the future, right? And the evidence says that no one can consistently predict the future. But, and I don't think this means that successful people are just lucky. Some folks have a burning desire to build something, and these people could be entrepreneurs. Like, this could be Bezos building Amazon. It could be someone starting a local marketing consulting firm or a law firm, or it could be someone just buying a piece of real estate and managing a portfolio of real estate. Now, these people have a plan. They work really, really hard. They fail on the path. They are resilient. They keep working hard towards those ends, and eventually it works out. Like, it's not, luck is. I remember that drawing of some people think that luck, or some people think you get success in a straight line, but the reality is there's this whole zigzags all over the place.
Yes.
At a place of success, right?
Right.
But even that's not everyone. I got a really close friend of mine, Matt. We were in junior high together. He was my 8th grade science partner. And he graduated college with an engineering degree. He's worked for the same employer for 30 years. Day one, when he started with that employer, he just said, I'm going to sign up for my 401k. I'm going to contribute 10% of my paycheck. And he's done that for 30 years. And I have no idea what his balance is, but I'm certain he's financially successful. I mean, he's got to be in a good place. That's not luck. That's consistency.
I wanted to ask a question about insurance versus investments. And I'm thinking that there's like an accompanying mindset around money when you're insuring something versus investing in something. And that, speaking to the marketing function, which is this podcast focus on that business development, it's usually packaged as an investment. You have to invest in marketing. And you spend some to get some. But typically what we see is most business owners just do the bare minimum and are reserved here. So like, whereas in like insurance, you want to get a full umbrella. Can you explore the differences here in between? Are we on to something here? Is insurance and investments, maybe these words, these incantations that we use around money, part of the things that hold us back?
It's an interesting, what do you call it? Juxtaposition. I don't know that they're exclusive things. Just give you a quick definition from our position in sort of financial planning. So I look at the definition of financial plan is taking responsibility for what can go wrong, so you have the opportunity to plan for what can go right. And this taking responsibility part, I think, is ensuring, lives, income, health for what we do. But I run a business, so marketing is actually a huge part of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at marketing or running the business itself as both insurance and investing. So we do all kinds of things that are, we'll call it defensive. In other words, we provide for our clients an incredible experience. And I would argue that a transformative experience. We take people from this position of, I think that if I just pay attention to the stock market and look for those hockey sticks, I will be successful,
Mm-hmm.
to a position of, wow, I don't have to have so much anxiety around what markets do because I have a plan that I trust. That's an insurance. And we do that providing an ecosystem of advice, which means we're communicating constantly, we're hosting events, we're doing education, we're giving them an insight into, how the sausage is made. What are we thinking? What's our base case for the market? What's our upside? What's our downside? How are we transferring that into our portfolios? And we're talking about this all the time. And that's events. And those events are defense. So our clients can ask questions and talk. They're also offense. They're also marketing. They're also an investment in, wow, I really like working with you guys at Mindful Money. Can I bring my brother? Can I bring my neighbor? Can I bring people and introduce them to you? So for us, it's both on the business side. The money we spend on educating our clients is actually our best marketing money.
I want to kind of go back to the concept of mindfulness. That's something I've been personally working on a little bit, but I think to our law firm owners here, particularly in light of recent events where, it may seem like no matter what you do, the odds are stacked against you. There's a study by this guy, Richard Wiseman, who over 10 years studied luck. And he said, lucky people generate their own good fortune via 4 basic principles. They're skilled at creating and noticing chance opportunities. They make lucky decisions by listening to their intuition, create self-fulfilling prophecies via positive expectations, and adopt a resilient attitude that transforms bad luck into good. And I think the correlation that I struck me when you were talking about mindfulness is skilled at creating and noticing chance opportunities. I was wondering if you could kind of expand a little bit on that, particularly for people, professionals. Obviously this is aimed at lawyers, but at large, it's hard running a business. You're constantly bombarded with different things, and so how do you get that mindfulness to kind of be attuned to the way of no way, to notice opportunities by not forcing looking for opportunities. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a weird thing. Like you have to be detached to be active in doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do actually. And I think it's, I listened to a few of your prior podcasts, and one, I don't know if it was the last one or a couple sessions ago. Somebody talked about, they didn't use this phrasing, but the idea was you give more, always give more. And,
the go-giver. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So it was, people call with a question, just give it away. Just give it away. Give it away. And then by giving it away, you will create a relationship. And this is for those of us in professional services, lawyers, CPAs, financial planners. The thing that we are at risk of is competing against the next, Amazon getting into what it is we do. And there are document drafting softwares that are going to be able to replace attorneys. And there are, I already have them in my industry, right? We already have Betterment and Wealthfront, and they do a fantastic job of asset allocation. And I am not better than them in asset allocation. I cannot be better than them in asset allocation. And they're way cheaper than I am. So what can I do? Well, in every interaction with clients, I need to leave a profit. I need to give more than I expect in payment. And so this is why I talk about this whole idea of we're creating an experience and we're helping transform the people we work with. We're making it, in my heart of hearts, my goal is to help them become better people, better versions of themselves, calmer versions of themselves. And so to the extent that I can use mindfulness as a tool to that end, and then provide all kinds of education for them, you know, they're paying us for managing assets and looking at financial plans and looking at cash flows and considering insurances, but what they're receiving is a transformative experience. And that opens up opportunity. Like they say, wow, this is fantastic. And they say, Jonathan, could you talk to this other person? I think that same thing applies for attorneys. If you're going to leave a profit, if you're going to give more, then people always give back. They almost can't help but see it and say, wow, this is really great. Thank you so much. I have this friend that has a similar problem. Can you do this?
Mm.
That's how your service becomes your tool for growth of the practice.
Here's a question. If you have a recalcitrant client, maybe they really aren't buying it, or maybe they think they already are being mindful. How do you sort of help? How would one know if they were being mindful enough? I mean, do you have like a thermometer? Is there is there a pop out thing like a turkey where you're like, oh man, you're activated. I'm sorry, you just actualized. Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you know when you've ascended Maslow's hierarchy and you're at the top?
So no one is enlightened.
Darn it.
Yeah.
Is that a bummer?
No, that's a reality, right? So it's like, I've got one of my coaches talks about vitamin C, and he says that behavioral finance is interesting because every single day, all of our clients wake up and they are bombarded. First of all, when they wake up and get out of bed, they pick up their own baggage. They put it down the night before they went to bed. They slept soundly. They got a really good night's rest. And then when they wake up, they get out of bed and they pick up their baggage and they hold on to it really, really tightly. And then they go out into the world and they sit down with their first cup of coffee and they start reading their emails and they start seeing the headlines. And those headlines bombard them with things like how bad it is, how scary it is, how dangerous it is, how this time is different, how they've got to change their behavior or they're certainly going to perish, whether that's financially or health-wise or whatever. And so they're bombarded with that. And I don't get to see them every morning. I can't communicate with them every single day. They get that message all the time. They get my message on occasion. So they can't, they will never be as dedicated to the message of the importance of mindfulness in their personal finance as I am. I will always have to continue giving them the vitamin C because it's by the end of the day, it flushes out of their system. And so it's a constant effort, a constant communication to build that transformation. So is there evidence of folks who have gotten better? Yeah. I mean, I have clients who right out of the gate say, Jonathan, I need to talk with you every month. And then I have clients that say, I need to talk with you every quarter. And, fast forward 2-3 years, they go, we get it. We need to talk to you every 2 years. And I have to fight to get a meeting with these same people 3 years after their clients. And that's a good indication that they're taking their vitamin C, they're paying attention, they're understanding and internalizing what we have to say. And then COVID happens. And so then it's on me to be a consistent reminder of the philosophy and the belief system. So when COVID happened, I mean, since we were locked down, since March 12th or March 15th, or whenever that was, we've done a weekly just Q&A where I do a quick presentation, 5-minute conversation, and then just answer people's questions. And in the very beginning, we had 160 people on this thing. And then last week, yesterday on Monday, we had 5. And that's an indication that, okay, people are now calming down. They're feeling better. Some people have questions and they keep coming. And we're now not doing it every week. We're now doing it every other week. And that's fantastic. So we have to consistently communicate and we have to recognize, this is going to stimulate some fear. Let's talk about it. Or on the flip side, in 2006, 2007, before the Great Recession, before real estate collapsed, we did the same thing, but we did it around, hey, don't believe the valuations about real estate. Don't believe this is, a new world that real estate's going to go up, 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 up forever. This too shall pass.
Man.
That's tough, man. I mean, I was just reading an article this morning in the Tribune that said 50%, what was it? 50% of people claim they are the unhappiest they've been in 50 years. It's not easy.
Some of these
man.
people are 30 too.
Yeah.
Which is scary.
Yeah, crazy. It's hard to get away from it. I guess I'm just curious what you have to, you're like you said, you're bombarded with it. It's really hard. Like even, I know speaking for myself, I've definitely made an effort to, stay away from, watching too much news, stuff like that. I mean, but it's hard. It's hard to not be affected by that stuff.
Well, yeah, but Paul, you're hitting on a really good thing. How can you balance? Because you're saying provide informational ecosystems, great.
Yeah.
But also, how do you? I mean, am I getting right what you're saying? Right? Is like how do you?
That's exactly where I was going. Like there has to be some way in there where you can just take it and say, I think one of the Buddhist things is, it's okay to have empathy for something, but not get like involved in it. So like, is there some way to handle all this stuff and still, cause you have a really great attitude of like, this too will pass. We're going to be okay.
And let's talk
but
about
sometimes when you're down there in the trenches, it just doesn't feel like it,
Yeah. And that's the reality is it doesn't feel like it. Like it doesn't. And I, it's not like I'm immune to that myself.
Mm.
It's this is part of, if you know what, I'm going to be healthy. What do I have to do to be healthy? Well, I have to have some sort of regular, every day, every other day exercise. I have to every single day, think not ice cream today, right? I have to think, maybe the second Manhattan is not a good plan every day, right? The first one I think is okay. The second one,
don't combine them either. That's a path to ruin.
So I mean, it's whatever it is. It's a daily practice, and for me, sitting on my cushion, staring at my wall, that's a daily practice. And what you notice by doing that is you notice that your brain serves up to you every minute of every day stuff, thoughts, feelings, concerns about tomorrow, narratives about what happened yesterday, how that person treated you, whatever. It's a constant flow, and you have a choice of what you're going to pay attention to. And one of the best things, and maybe you guys have seen this, one of the best things I've ever watched on this topic of you get to choose the environment that what you think about is This Is Water. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah. The David Foster Wallace.
Yeah.
Yes,
oh my God.
Brilliant.
Such a fantastic piece. And I actually go back and I listen to that again. I've listened to it 50 times. I go back and, getting sort of torn up. I just go listen to it again. I have a choice and I get to make that choice. And sitting for me helps me put in, this is what happens. I can see my brain flow and I can let that flow go. And by letting the flow go, I can see I don't have to, and I think this is what you were saying a second ago, I don't have to grab onto it. It's not my anger or fear. It's just anger and fear. I can let it go.
Honestly, man, just listening to you right now, I feel better.
I know. I felt like, is this Yoda? Sort of like a
totally
a cheaper Yoda.
It definitely
it's a good
has
moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's very well said and very well delivered too. So to follow up on that, if you have one piece of advice our listeners could take away that they could start doing, today, right now, that would improve their wealth management and their approach to maybe finances in general, what would that piece of advice be?
This is really easy. Stop predicting and guessing what's going to happen in the short term. Start planning and understanding your personal trade-offs and stay mindful.
Do you want to, would you like to unpack some of those delicious bags? So stop predicting the short term.
You have to unpack it yourself.
You don't, and TSA will be like, did you pack this bag yourself?
I'm happy. I can unpack. There's 3 pieces there, right?
So stop predicting the short term. Break that one down.
Our entire world, is the media is totally focused on, makes this decision now, new decision. And that decision is minute by minute, second by second. And they all depend upon your having, again, this market outlook. Or if you're talking about how much should I save, how much should I, it's I want this new toy, I want this boat, I want this new car, I think these jeans look good. It's this idea of stuff just keeps coming at us all the time. And we are trying to say, this is going to make me happy, this is going to make me happy, or this is going to provide better returns, or that's going to provide better returns. What that means is we're constantly deciding. And those decisions are based on what's happening to us, what's coming at us from the world every second of every day. When we layer in to that responsiveness or reactiveness, this concept that we are just infected with cognitive and emotional biases, we're not thinking about these things. So the predicting is specifically, around investing. And all of any decision you make today, and believe me, I've got clients who call me up all the time, Jonathan, I think that COVID is going to, go on for a couple of years. I think it's going to be horrific for markets, and I think we should sell and go to cash. I'm like, okay, what could happen to make it go right? What if the Fed steps in and does something crazy? What if Congress passes a $2.3 trillion, stimulus package? What if it turns out, it's not as bad as we thought it was, and we don't have to keep the economy closed for 12 months? What if? Your reaction, sell and go to cash, is based on your prediction about the future. And the predictions are based on your fears and concerns and those little mental foibles. So that's the first step. Stop making those predictions. No one has successfully, consistently predicted their way to success in markets. And those 2 or 3 people that the media looks at that tell us that they have done so, they would exist on a bell curve of people, but we couldn't have picked them out 30 years ago. We didn't know they were going to do this. There's some people are going to be lucky, right? This is the luck you brought up before. Warren Buffett, place and time. He had something that worked. He did that specific thing. He didn't do other things. He was very successful. For the last 8 or 10 years, he's been less successful compared to someone else that's done really, really well. But he's built this huge track record, and so now it's difficult to take him off that podium. So let's stop predicting. Start planning. This is when I stand in a room and do a presentation, and you say, how many people have an understanding of what their lifetime cash flows are going to be? No one raises their hand. If you say, how many people have a financial plan? 30% of the room raises their hand. So what is a financial plan? What is it to have a plan? I think many people think that the pie chart that says how much of their investments they put in cash, how much they put in fixed income, and how much they put in stocks, I think they think that's a plan. And that's just a portfolio. The plan is the interaction between your personal cash flow statement and your balance sheet. If you're spending more than you earn, you're actually taking money off of your balance sheet. If you're spending less than you earn, you're adding money to your balance sheet. And that interplay between those two tools for a lifetime is what we're talking about when we're doing planning. And really deep planning requires what is potentially the stuff that would make me happy, provide meaning to my life. And then of those things that are potentially the things that would add value to my life, what are the things that I prefer? What are the things that are important to me? What are the trade-offs I am willing to make? And so the plan starts with your values, ends with your personal trade-offs, and then you have action steps that come out of that. Well, if those are the things that are important to me, I should spend my time and my financial resources on those things. I can let the other things go. And then the mindfulness is just stay mindful. That's when the world sends you other juice, other stuff, other things that, I said that sending my kids to a good school was most important to me, but, Chevy came out with a new Corvette, and isn't it beautiful? No. I said to myself that my kids going to school was the thing I wanted. So I have to reflect back, remember, stay mindful of what my plan was. Just like when I sit and I'm meditating, my breath is my anchor. In your financial world, your plan can be that anchor. And so by staying mindful, you're being mindful of what you actually have already written down as the things that you wanted to accomplish.
tell us how people can find out more about Mindful Money and you, Jonathan, on the internet. Where can they find you?
So first, perhaps obviously for those that are curious about putting this kind of step-by-step process into place, just get the book. If you follow the exercises in the book, there's an exercise at the end of every chapter. If you follow those exercises, at the end of the book, you have a basic financial plan. It includes the actions you should be taking. And right now there's so many people out there that just have no idea about a plan. They'll never hire an advisor. They won't go down that path. And what I did is I wrote down a tool for people to create that plan for themselves. Because I think, again, that is the core. You got to have a plan so that you can be mindful of your plan. And it starts with values and all those kinds of things. So the first place to go is definitely the book. If you want to actually dig into that some more, go to our website, mindful.money. Pretty simple. And you can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Mindful Money Plan, and on Twitter at mindfulmoney_ed, ED, as in education.
5 questions we ask everyone.
What was the last book you read?
Traction by Gino Wickman.
Nice. All right. Number 2, what is your favorite place?
North Star at Tahoe. Skiing.
Right on, man. Number 3, what sites, blogs, newsletters, or podcasts do you regularly check in with?
Holy cow! How much time do you have?
I mean, give us the
top
hot ones.
The top 8. Your MySpace top 8 favorite 8.
MySpace.
Wow, that's a pre-Facebook.
I'm going for it. I don't care. Oh, my pager's ringing. Hold on.
Great question. So there's a ton of them. I mean, so on topics like economics, the things I like the most are abnormal returns. I like Chicago Boys, Crossing Wall Street. There's First Trust Economics. It's a First Trust Economics blog. For my Meb Faber. Meb Faber is fantastic. There's a guy named Colin Roche who's awesome. In terms of we're going into different things. If you look at personal things, I like On Being with Krista Tippett. I like there's a blog about fatherhood called Father's Forum. I love Wired magazine's information about science and all those kinds of things.
Awesome.
In personal finance, I love Barbara Friedberg. I love Budgets Are Sexy, Frugal Woods, Financial Samurai. For a more deep, how do things all tie together? I love Epsilon Theory, Craft Sense, Montana Money Adventures is another one. I have a old school newsreader, and it just
nice.
These things just keep every single day. I have like 300 things that I peek at, and then if you really want to get real data, this is wonkish, but I actually read the Fed, Cleveland Fed, New York Fed, and just see what this stuff, and National Bureau of Economic Research. There's all kinds of information and data that sort of support my belief in the future, my ability to stay diversified, and my ability to do what I do for clients.
Number 4. I feel kind of bad following that one up with this one, but here we go. If you were stranded on a desert island and could only pick one condiment to take with you, what would it be?
One condiment?
Yes, sir.
That's it. You better plan, Jonathan. What's your plan, homie? Uh-oh.
You know what? It's weird, but I love mayo, man.
I'm down. I'm a mayo guy myself.
Come out. It's safe. Hold on, everybody. Sit down.
Yeah.
Let Jonathan have some pepper.
It's got to be almonds. Got to be almonds too. Okay, last one. After a long day or a long week at work, how do you relax and unwind?
I sit on the couch with my daughter, and we read, and she loves reading series. So we've read, all the Harry Potters. Right now we're reading. This will age me, but I think you guys will grasp this really quickly. We're reading Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
For show notes, links, and info, go to thelawsonpodcast.com or follow us on Twitter or Facebook. Be sure to leave us a review and rating in iTunes or wherever you find the you listen to. Until next week, stay lawson.